This is a short video on matrix multiplication. I'll go straight into an example, multiplying a 1 by 3 matrix by a 3 by 1 matrix. So on the left you have a 1 by 3. That's 1 row and 3 columns. The right has 3 rows and 1 column. If you can't remember which way around it is, think of the letter L. First you count down the number of rows, then you count across the number of columns. A 1 by 3 matrix has a special name, we call it a row vector. And a 3 by 1 matrix we call a column vector. Those two 3's at the top have to be the same number. And you'll see in a minute that it's because the length of that row on the left must match the length of that column on the right. When we multiply these, we're going to get a 1 by 1, which is just a number. To multiply these together, we multiply the a by the x, the b by the y, and the c by the z, and then we add them all together. Let's try it now with some numbers on the left. We'll keep x, y, and z on the right for the moment. So the answer to this multiplication is 1 times x plus 2 times y plus 1 times z, which equals x plus 2y plus z. Once more, with all numbers, here we have 1 times the 3 on top of the right side 1, plus 2 times that 4 in the middle, plus 1 times 1, which comes out to 12. Now let's do a 3 by 3 matrix multiplied by a 3 by 1 matrix. So I'm going to do all letters again this time. So this is going to give us a 3 by 1 matrix. And the way we're going to get that is that each row of the matrix on the left is going to do, like before, is going to be multiplied by that column vector on the right. So this first one here is just like the last time. Then we go again with the second row of that matrix on the left, and that gives us that second element in our, let's call it the output matrix, or the result. So the second element there, the third element is exactly the same again. We take the third row of that matrix on the left and we do the same calculation that we did before. So that gives us the 3 elements of our result matrix. So let's put in some numbers. Our first element comes from the first row and the column. So it's 1 times x plus 1 times y plus 2 times z. Our second element is going to come from the second row, and that one column is going to be 0 times x plus 1 times y plus 1 times z. Our third element comes from the third row and that column again. So it's 3 times x plus 2 times y plus 0 times z. And now we just tidy that up to get our final answer, which is a 3 by 1 matrix, or a column vector. Same as the size of that matrix on the right, that other column vector. A square matrix multiplied by a column vector is something that comes up a lot. On the last page we had a 1 by 3 row vector multiplied by a 3 by 1 column vector to produce a number. This time we have a 3 by 3 matrix multiplying by a 3 by 1 column vector to produce another 3 by 1 column vector. You might recognize this one as the identity matrix. Let's have a look at this and see how the identity matrix just gives you back the same matrix that you put in. Let's do the same again, but with a 3 by 2 matrix on the right hand side. The result here will be another 3 by 2 matrix. And what we'll see is that what happened to that first left column on the right hand side, x, y, z, exactly the same thing is going to happen to the PQR column on the right. So that matrix on the left, the 3 by 3, is going to do exactly the same thing to each column of the matrix on the right. The answer from the last page is there on the left, and I'm just going to copy it over here and fill in P, Q and R, because it's going to be exactly the same. Let's put in some numbers and do out this calculation in full so that you see how it works. The right column here is, I'm just going to make it twice the left column. So, for the first element in the top left, element 1, 1, we use the first row on the left and the first column on the right. So that's 1 times 3 plus 1 times 2 plus 2 times 1. Then, for element 1, 2 in our answer matrix, we use the first row on the left with the second column on the right and do the same thing. Then, for the second row, first column in the answer, we use the second row of the matrix on the left and the first column of the matrix on the right. And then exactly the same thing for the second row, second column in the answer. Same again for the third row on the left, that becomes the third row in our answer. So for in the third row, first column, we use third row on the left, first column on the right. And in our answer, the third row, second column, element 3, 2, we use the third row of the matrix on the left and the second column of the matrix on the right. So that is then our answer, a 3 by 2 matrix. So now we just tidy all this up to give a final answer. So our 3 by 3 matrix multiplied by the 3 by 2 matrix has given us another 3 by 2 matrix. And that is how you multiply matrices together.